You're turning the dial on your radio, and suddenly, you hear it. That unmistakable guitar riff, that voice you'd recognize anywhere. The 1970s gave us bands that didn't just make songs. They created anthems that defined a generation. If you grew up in the 1970s, you remember these bands. Number 1. Led Zeppelin. When Led Zeppelin walked into a recording studio, they weren't thinking small. Formed in 1968 by guitarist Jimmy Page after the breakup of the Yardbirds, the band hit its absolute peak throughout the 1970s. Page brought along vocalist Robert Plant, bassist and keyboardist John Paul Jones, and drummer John Bonham to create what would become one of the most influential rock bands in history. Their first album, released in 1969, made an immediate impact with its heavy blues rock sound. Songs like Good Times, Bad Times and Dazed and Confused announced a new kind of rock band, louder, heavier, and more intense than what came before. The album was recorded in just 36 hours, but captured a raw power that established Led Zeppelin as a force to be reckoned with. The band's second album, Led Zeppelin II, released later in 1969, went to number 1 and stayed there for 7 weeks. Whole Lotta Love became their signature song in America, with its famous breakdown section featuring theremin and backwards echo effects. The album showed the band expanding their sound while keeping the thunderous energy that made them unique. The band's fourth album, released in 1971 without any title or text on the cover, changed everything. That album contained a song called Stairway to Heaven, which became the most played song in radio history despite never being released as a single. Starting with a gentle acoustic guitar and building to a thunderous crescendo, it showed exactly what Led Zeppelin could do: blend folk, blues, and hard rock into something entirely their own. The song took over 8 minutes to unfold, moving through distinct sections that showcased each member's abilities. Page's guitar solo remains one of the most celebrated in rock history, while Plant's vocals soared from whisper to wail. Throughout the decade, Led Zeppelin sold over 300 million albums worldwide. Their concerts became legendary events. Plant's soaring vocals paired with Page's virtuoso guitar work created moments of pure electricity. Bonham's drumming on songs like When the Levee Breaks and Moby Dick redefined what rock drumming could be. Jones anchored everything with bass lines and keyboard arrangements that added depth to their sound. The band released 8 albums during the 1970s, each one exploring different musical territory. Physical Graffiti from 1975 was a double album that showcased their incredible range, from the funk-influenced Trampled Underfoot to the Eastern-inspired Kashmir. They could be delicate one moment and crushing the next, often within the same song. Led Zeppelin toured relentlessly during the decade, setting attendance records that stood for years. Their 1973 show at Tampa Stadium drew 56,800 fans, breaking the record previously held by the Beatles. But by the end of the decade, personal tragedies began taking their toll. The band would end in 1980 following John Bonham's death, but their influence on rock music remains immeasurable. Number 2. Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac in the 1970s was all three rolled into one dramatic package. The band had been around since 1967 as a British blues group, but everything changed in 1975 when guitarist Lindsey Buckingham and vocalist Stevie Nicks joined the band lineup alongside Mick Fleetwood on drums, Christine McVie on keyboards and vocals, and John McVie on bass.
Here I go again, I see
Their self-titled 1975 album was a massive success, going to number 1 and selling millions. But it was their next album, Rumors, released in February 1977, that cemented their place in rock history. What made Rumors extraordinary wasn't just the music, it was the context. While recording the album, John and Christine McVie were divorcing after 8 years of marriage. Buckingham and Nicks were breaking up. Mick Fleetwood's wife had been having an affair. Most bands would have fallen apart. Fleetwood Mac wrote songs about it. Buckingham poured his anger into Go Your Own Way, a song that Nicks later said hurt to sing because it was clearly about her. Nicks responded with Dreams, which became Fleetwood Mac's only #1 single in the United States. Christine McVie wrote Don't Stop, about looking forward, and You Make Loving Fun, about a new romance, which she told her ex-husband John was about her dog to avoid conflict. The album spent 31 weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200 and produced 4 consecutive top 10 singles, an unprecedented achievement. Recording sessions were fueled by enormous quantities of cocaine and emotional turmoil. But somehow, it all came together. The band members were writing musical journals to each other, airing their grievances and heartbreak through lyrics that millions would sing along to. Rumors has sold over 40 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling albums of all time. It won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year in 1978. The sound was polished pop rock perfection. Harmonies layered over harmonies. Guitars interweaving with keyboards. Rhythms that made you want to move. Even today, when you hear the opening notes of The Chain or Go Your Own Way, you're instantly transported back. Number 3. Queen Freddie Mercury's voice, Brian May's guitar, Roger Taylor's drums, John Deacon's bass. Queen formed in London in 1970, and by the middle of the decade, they were unstoppable. The band's breakthrough came with their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, in 1974, which featured Killer Queen. But it was their next album, A Night at the Opera, released in 1975, that changed everything. The album's centerpiece was a 6-minute epic that broke every rule about what a pop song should be. Freddie Mercury had been working on Bohemian Rhapsody for years, playing fragments on the piano and telling producer Roy Thomas Baker about where the opera section would go. When Queen finally recorded it at Rockfield Studios in Wales, over 3 weeks in August and September 1975, they created something unprecedented. The song had no chorus. It started as a ballad, moved into an operatic section with layered harmonies, exploded into hard rock, and ended with a quiet coda. It required nearly 200 tracks of overdubs using the technology of the time. Queen's record label didn't want to release it as a single. At almost 6 minutes, they said it would never get radio play. But DJ Kenny Everett, a friend of Mercury's, played it 14 times in one weekend on Capital Radio. The public response was overwhelming. Bohemian Rhapsody entered the UK charts at number 47 and shot to number 1 in 4 weeks. It stayed there for 9 weeks, becoming the Christmas number 1 in 1975. The promotional video Queen made for the song helped establish the music video format that would dominate the 1980s. Filmed in just 3 hours at Elstree Studios for £3,500, it featured the iconic 4-way shot of the band members' faces and Mercury in his favorite Marlene Dietrich pose. When it premiered on Top of the Pops on November 20th, 1975, it created a sensation. Queen's success continued throughout the decade. In 1977, they released We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You, back-to-back tracks that became sports anthems around the world. Both songs were designed to be participatory. Audiences could stomp and clap along to We Will Rock You and sing their hearts out to We Are the Champions. The band's theatrical stage shows featured Mercury's commanding presence and incredible vocal range. May played his homemade red special guitar through a wall of Vox AC30 amplifiers, creating a sound that was almost orchestral. Taylor and Deacon provided rock-solid rhythm and backing vocals that turned Queen into a formidable four-part harmony machine. Number 4. Formed in Los Angeles in 1971, the band started as the backing group for Linda Ronstadt before striking out on their own. The original lineup included Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon, and Randy Meisner. Their 1972 debut album featured Take It Easy, a song written by Frey and Jackson Browne that perfectly captured the laid-back California vibe. With its memorable opening line about standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, the song reached number 12 and introduced the world to the Eagles' harmonies and country rock sound. The album also included Witchy Woman, which reached number 9 and featured Bernie Leadon's distinctive banjo work. Throughout the early 70s, the Eagles released hit after hit. Their second album, Desperado, in 1973, was a concept album about Old West outlaws. While it didn't produce major singles at the time, songs like the title track and Tequila Sunrise became classics. On the Border, in 1974, brought them their first number 1 with Best of My Love, a soft ballad that showcased their vocal harmonies. One of These Nights, in 1975, gave them another number 1 title track and included Lion Eyes, which won a Grammy. But the band's sound was evolving. When guitarist Bernie Leadon left in 1975, he was replaced by Joe Walsh, whose harder rock style changed the Eagles' direction. Their fifth album, Hotel California, released in December 1976, became their masterpiece. The title track, with its haunting Spanish guitar intro and cryptic lyrics about a mysterious hotel, topped the charts in May 1977. Don Felder had written the music while sitting in a beach house in Malibu, initially calling it Mexican reggae because of its Latin influences. Henley and Frey wrote lyrics that captured the excess and disillusionment of the California dream. The song's dual guitar solo, with Felder and Walsh trading leads before harmonizing together, became one of the most celebrated guitar passages in rock history. In 1998, readers of Guitarist magazine voted it the best guitar solo of all time. Hotel California. The album produced 3 top 10 singles and stayed at number 1 for 8 weeks. It won the Grammy for Record of the Year in 1978. The album has sold over 26 million copies in the United States alone, making it one of the best-selling albums ever. The Eagles' country rock fusion influenced countless bands and helped define the sound of American rock in the 70s. Their meticulous harmonies and polished production set a standard that others tried to match. Even as punk and new wave emerged later in the decade, the Eagles continued selling out arenas and dominating the charts. Number 5. Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd didn't just make albums, they created experiences. Formed in London in the 1960s, the band hit its commercial and creative peak during the 1970s, with a lineup of Roger Waters on bass, David Gilmour on guitar, Nick Mason on drums, and Richard Wright on keyboards. The band started the decade with Adam Heartmother in 1970 and Metal in 1971, albums that showed them developing their distinctive sound. Metal included Echoes, a 23-minute epic that took up an entire album side and demonstrated the band's ability to create extended musical journeys. The Dark Side of the Moon, released in March 1973, changed what people expected from a rock album. It was a concept album about the pressures of modern life, exploring themes of time, money, mental illness, and death. The album featured innovative use of synthesizers, tape loops, and sound effects. Recorded at Abbey Road Studios, it showcased the band's technical precision and conceptual ambition. Engineer Alan Parsons helped the band achieve a sonic clarity that was revolutionary for its time. The album entered the Billboard 200 in April 1973 and stayed on the chart for an incredible 937 weeks, nearly 18 years. It spent only 1 week at number 1, but its longevity was unprecedented. Songs like Time, with its opening alarm clocks and cash register sounds, and Money, with its unusual 7/4-time signature, became rock radio staples. The Great Gig in the Sky, featuring vocalist Claire Torry's improvised wordless performance, became one of the most emotionally powerful moments in rock music. Pink Floyd's live shows were legendary. They incorporated elaborate light shows, projection screens, and props into performances that were as much theatrical events as concerts. When they played Time live, massive clocks would appear. For Money, cash registers would ring out. The band used a 360-degree sound system that could move effects around the entire venue, creating an immersive experience years before surround sound became common. The band followed up with Wish You Were Here in 1975, a tribute to former member Syd Barrett. The title track, with its distinctive guitar intro played through a Leslie speaker cabinet to sound like a radio, became another classic. The album dealt with themes of absence and the music industry, with the epic Shine On You Crazy Diamond serving as a direct tribute to Barrett. During the recording sessions, Barrett actually showed up at the studio, having gained weight and shaved his head. The band barely recognized him, a moment that added poignancy to an album already heavy with emotion. In 1979, Pink Floyd released The Wall, a sprawling double album that told the story of Pink, a rock star who builds a metaphorical wall around himself. The album spawned their only number 1 hit in the United States with Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2, which featured a children's chorus singing about not needing education. The song's disco-influenced beat was a departure for the band, but it worked spectacularly. The Wall went on to sell over 30 million copies worldwide and was later adapted into a film. The album's themes of isolation, war, and personal trauma resonated with audiences and showed that progressive rock could still have commercial appeal as the decade ended. Number 6. Aerosmith Boston's Bad Boys of Rock and Roll. Aerosmith brought a raw energy to the 1970s that set them apart. Formed in 1970, the band featured Steven Tyler's screaming vocals and Joe Perry's bluesy guitar riffs. Tyler and Perry became known as the Toxic Twins due to their heavy drug use, but their musical chemistry was undeniable. The band's first album, released in 1973, introduced their sound, but didn't make much commercial impact. Their second album, Get Your Wings, in 1974, showed improvement with songs like Same Old Song and Dance getting radio play, but the band was still searching for their breakthrough. The band's third album, Toys in the Attic, released in 1975, broke them wide open. The album featured Sweet Emotion, with its distinctive talkbox guitar intro and funky bass line. The song's groove was infectious, and Tyler's lyrics about relationship troubles resonated with listeners. Walk This Way became another massive hit, with Tyler's rapid-fire lyrics about teenage romance set against Perry's driving guitar riff. The song's energy was relentless, and it helped establish Aerosmith as a band that could compete with the biggest acts in rock. Rocks, released in 1976, cemented Aerosmith's status as one of America's premier rock bands. The album was harder and heavier than Toys in the Attic, with songs like Back in the Saddle and Last Child showcasing the band's blues rock roots and Tyler's incredible vocal range. Nobody's Fault featured some of the heaviest riffs the band ever recorded, while Get the Lead Out demonstrated their ability to craft extended jams. Many critics consider Rocks to be Aerosmith's finest album, the moment when all their influences came together perfectly. Aerosmith became known for their energetic live shows. Tyler would prowl the stage with his microphone stand decorated with scarves, while Perry stood cool and collected, letting his guitar do the talking. The contrast between Tyler's manic energy and Perry's laid-back style created a dynamic stage presence. Brad Whitford on rhythm guitar and Tom Hamilton on bass provided a solid foundation, while Joey Kramer's drumming drove everything forward. By the late 70s, the band's drug problems were affecting their music and relationships. Tyler and Perry's addictions led to increasingly erratic behavior and declining album quality. Albums like Draw the Line in 1977 and Night in the Ruts in 1979 showed a band struggling to maintain their earlier standards. But their earlier work had already established them as one of the decade's most important American rock bands. They would eventually clean up and experience a massive comeback in the 1980s, but their 70s output remained their most influential work. Number 7. The Doobie Brothers. The Doobie Brothers brought a unique blend of rock, country, and R&B to the 1970s. Formed in San Jose, California, in 1970, the band featured a rotating lineup, but always maintained their signature sound built around dual drummers and rich vocal harmonies. Their name came from slang for marijuana joints, reflecting the California culture of the time. Listen to the music from their 1972 album Toulouse Street, established the Doobies as radio-friendly rockers, with a message of peace and unity. The song's infectious melody and positive lyrics made it a top 10 hit and defined the band's early sound. Produced by Ted Templeman, who would work with the band throughout the decade, the album showed them finding their groove. Throughout the mid-70s, the Doobie Brothers produced hit after hit. Long Train Runnin' featured a funky guitar riff and driving rhythm. China Grove showcased their ability to blend country influences with rock energy. Black Water, released in 1974, gave them their first #1 single with its a cappella break and fiddle solo, unusual elements for a rock song. When Tom Johnston, the band's original lead vocalist and main songwriter, had to leave temporarily due to health issues in 1975, the Doobies brought in Michael McDonald as a replacement. McDonald's arrival changed everything. His soulful voice and keyboard-driven songs moved the band in a more R&B direction. With McDonald, the Doobie Brothers scored their biggest hits. Taking It to the Streets, in 1976, showcased McDonald's blue-eyed soul vocals. What a Fool Believes, released in 1978 and co-written with Kenny Loggins, became the band's biggest hit, reaching #1 and winning the Grammy for Record of the Year and Song of the Year in 1979. The band's ability to evolve while maintaining quality made them one of the most consistent acts of the decade. Whether playing the guitar-driven rock of their early years or the sophisticated pop soul of the McDonald era, the Doobie Brothers delivered music that filled dance floors and dominated radio. These bands didn't just provide the soundtrack to the 1970s, they defined what rock music could be. They took risks, pushed boundaries, and created songs that have lasted decades. Whether you were seeing them at a massive stadium show or hearing them on your AM radio, these were the bands that made the 70s special. If this trip down memory lane brought back some great memories, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more nostalgic looks at the music, culture, and moments that made the past so memorable.